Good evening. We are so behind, but I'm here. And I want to let you know I'm here. Okay. So, being here, we are going to just continue on with the process of what this is. So, there's a gap. So, when we have a gap, there's like this in between space, right? So, it's the in between moments from changing from the old you to the new you. Okay. So, I want to do a little introduction. Last week we did something radical, okay? And this was like probably 2, 3 weeks ago. We stopped shaming the gap and started studying it. So it's like when you started looking at what was happening, um, that's something that we really need to kind of honor in ourselves. And I don't want to say kinda, I want to use my words um, more strategically. So when we're looking at a situation, I don't know how many of you have gone through something and said, why did this happen? What is going on? Those are the gaps. The gaps are the things that help you understand. Um, it makes you more aware, more cognitive of why things are happening, when things are happening, what do we need to change, and how do we need to change from what was into going into the what is moment, right? So we named what came back during this interruption. So we've had these interruptions, and I've had several interruptions, from children to just life and vacations and, all the things to where, mentally, emotionally, there's been these gaps. Okay. So when we name the interruptions, sometimes the interruptions happen in order to get us to settle down or to just think things differently, do things differently, and be at a different pace, right? So don't think that the gap is there or this thing is happening because it is it's hurting you. It's really helping you grow. Okay. So we built the guardrails, and then I sent some of you home with questions, and we did the questions. And I want to start with tonight. What if the gap wasn't a setback? What if the gap was a setup? What if everything that happened in the silence, the struggle, the falling off, the old thoughts returning, the seasons of having to survive instead of thrive, what if all of that was producing something in you, around you, for you, in you, that this breakthrough moment alone never could? So tonight we go into the gap and we mine it for gold. So here's the question that I want you to do in your journaling. I want you to tell me one thing, and you can put it in the comments, just one thing that your gap produced in you. It doesn't have to sound pretty, it doesn't have to be a victory. It can be clarity, it could be hunger, exhaustion that finally broke something loose. What did this gap actually produce? For me, the gap actually produced a level up. It produced me no longer wanting to be at the bottom. It produced something in me that said I no longer want to live paycheck to paycheck. It produced in me this strength, um, this phoenix rising. It's this change. It's this trajectory that that I say that I wanted to change within myself. So I am excited about this change. I'm excited about what's happening. And I know that I no longer will be sitting, trying to figure things out and being exhausted in the gap. So I know there's a lot of times when there's a gap happening, you are exhausted in the gap. And what comes to mind and what I see while I'm talking is in the gap when you're climbing the mountain, and just think of this gap where you are in this space of you're in between, right? And so you're really trying to navigate, how do I grab, what do I grab, how do I set my feet, where's my footing? It's all of those things that, in the gap. And so sometimes you do get weary and you just want to sit down. But when you start relaxing, what happens? In the gap, you probably won't move. You probably won't get up. You'll probably just stay where you're at. And this has happened a couple of times within this group where I'm on vacation, I'm taking this on vacation, and then I get lax in it. And then when I come back, it's not to the fullest degree that I should be. So when these gaps happen, does it make you feel bad? Are you happy? Are you excited? Are you, how can I say, like, are you in this space of like, I'm ready to move? Or, you know what? I don't think this is my thing. So does it make this change? If you are joining for the first time tonight, I want to welcome you. You don't need to any context to receive what God has for you in this session. We are the women's community, and we're called For Real, Real Talk, Real Growth. And we believe that every interruption, every gap, every season of silence in your life has something in worth finding. So tonight we find it together. So stay with us. Keep watching the video. If you have some comments, comment, share. If you have some things that you want to express, go ahead and express that. And if you want to do your own coaching session, please let me know. So here's the problems. The problems are the arc so far. The rewire taught us to identify the lies, examine the stories, and replace the old thinking with practice truth. The gap and the guardrail taught us that the gap is not the enemy. Our response to it is. So remember, when there's been breaks within the group, there's been people leaving the group, there's been a lot of things that have taken place. And so in that, it's how I respond to it rather than it making it seem like it's the enemy. So my response to these things, your response to what happens in your life when you stop a process, that is the response. Okay. So that's the overall gap. So tonight we go one more level deeper. What did the gap actually produce that we could not have received any other way? Romans 5, 3 through 4 says, we also glory in suffering because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. And of course, you already know that I'm going to read it out of the Message Bible because I think it gives, I like it because it gives more of a quantified way of us talking and a way of you being able to digest what is actually happening. So let us go to that. Right. All right. So let's see. Romans 5, 3 through 4. Let's see. Romans chapter 5. Okay. So this is developing patience in Romans chapter 5. Now, remember, I tell you in the Message Bible, it gives you pretty much a chunk of what's happening. So this is going to be 3 through 5, actually, and this is Romans 5, 3 through 4. So 3 through 5 says, there's more to come. We continue to shout our praise, even when we're hemmed in with troubles, because we know how troubles can develop passionate patience in us, and how that patience, in turn, forges the tempered steel of virtue, keeping us alert for whatever God will do next. In alert expectancy, such as this, we never let feeling short. We're never left feeling shortchanged. Sorry, quite the contrary. We can't round up enough containers to hold everything God generously pours into our lives through the Holy Spirit. Okay, so this is chapter 4. Paul doesn't say suffering produces pain. We already know that. We already know that pain comes when there's like this suffering and we feel like there's this immense suffering, or we feel like, why does this always happen to me, or what is going on, or what do I need to do? It's those things that we feel that. And I always told you guys when I started coaching, and I remember feeling started erupting, feel it, feel what you're feeling, honor yourself in that space, but don't let it overtake you to where you move with it. Instead, just honor it, see it, and then let's go ahead and do the perseverance. So He says suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance then produces your character. Your character produces the hope. So there's a production chain inside every hard season. And so tonight we trace ours. Now, I'm a wordy person, so I want to look up the word perseverance. So I want you to understand what that means when you got to keep going. Because I think a lot of us, what happens is we get into this space and we start a thing and we stop a thing. We start a thing and we stop a thing. Um, we start a thing and we start a thing. We stop a thing and we start a thing. So perseverance is the quality of keeping a steady effort to do or achieve something, even when it is hard, takes a long time, or faces heavy opposition. It means not giving up when when you face a problem or you fail. So it's not quitting, it's trying again, being let the patience do its work, learning a new skill. So it's all of those things that happen. So it's like when you're climbing the mountain and you don't make it to the top, or you continue to fall down, or you continue to lose your grip and you continue to lose your footing. These are the things where it's trying to tell you what is the next thing that you need to do. What are some, different modalities that you need to use in order to get up the mountain? What are some things that you need to change in order to get up the mountain? What are you holding on to that you need to release in order to get up the mountain? So I hope this is helping you. All right. So here are 5 things the gap produces that the highlight reel never could. Production number 1, it produces clarity about what you actually believe. The breakthrough session shows you what you want to believe. The gap shows you what you actually believe. When the practice stops and the declarations go unsaid and the old thoughts flood back in, that is not evidence that you are a failure. That is evidence about the depth of the root. How far is this thing going? How far has this been embedded in your thoughts? How far has this gone back in your DNA to where you are now the breaker of this generational thing that has been going on and on? The analogy that I'm going to use is the analogy of the rats. And there has been a study that shows that they had produced this fear in rats. I think it was of, I want to say it was spiders, I want to say. And so they produced this fear of spiders in like these rats. And so these rats produced children. So they procreated, had children. And so they found that the children also feared spiders, even though they hadn't been introduced to the spiders. And so it was this thing that it's in your DNA. What has been encapsulated in your DNA? What is the root of why you are where you are? This is a root thing. This is like a generational thing. Your DNA really um, it encapsulates in your DNA. And so we have to change that, because if you don't change it, it goes to the next line and the next line and next line until there's someone there that says, we're going to break this chain and we're going to break this generational curse and we're going to rebuild our DNA. The gap strips away everything performative and leaves you face to face with what your belief system is actually built on. And that clarity, as uncomfortable as it is the most honest starting point for real transformation. You cannot build on what you don't know is there. The gap showed you what's there. That is a gift. And when it doesn't feel like one. And even when it does, that's a gift. And even when it doesn't feel like a gift, it is. And I'm dealing with, I'm not dealing with, but there's some younger women in my life that are at this point of, going through the door and they're leaving the old thought and they know that they need to change the old way of being. And they're going into this door and it's so hard for them to transition over into that new thought. And so this transformation, they feel like, well, it's God just doesn't like me and he's just hating me. And it's just like, no, this is God's way of telling you it's time to grow up. When Paul says, I put away, when I got older, I put away the childish things. As a child, I used to think as a child, but when I became a man, I put away the childish things. That's what this gap is doing. It's removing the childish behavior, the childish mindset, the things that we used to do as children, the expectancy or the things that we felt were supposed to come to us by way of just because we asked for it. But there's a work that needs to be done when we're asking for these things. And it reminds me of when we were younger, we had chores at home. And if the chores didn't get done, you didn't get to go and do the thing that you wanted to do. So when we look at what God is doing for us, if you don't do the work, you're not going to be able to reap the benefits of the thing that you've asked for. And that's a profound statement. If you're not doing the work, you're not going to be able to reap the benefit of being the millionaire or the thing or this wife or whatever it is that you want to be, the business owner. You're never going to be able to reap the benefits because you haven't done the work. Okay? So doing the work means that you have gone through, you've done the trials, you've done the error, you've done all of the things. First Corinthians 3:13 says there will be shown, their work will be shown for what it is, because the day will bring it to light. It will be revealed with fire, and the fire will test the quality of each person's work. So let's read that out of the Message Bible. First Corinthians 3 and 13. So we're going to start at 9. Okay, so it's going to go through 9 through 15. Or to put it another way, you are God's house. Using the gift God gave me as a good architect, I design blueprints. Apollos is putting up the walls. Let each carpenter who comes on the job take care to build on that foundation. Remember, there is only one foundation, the one already laid, Jesus Christ. Take particular care in picking out your building materials. Eventually, there is going to be an inspection. If you use cheap or inferior materials, you will be found out. The inspection will be thorough and rigorous. You won't get by with a thing. If your work passes inspection, fine. If it doesn't, your part of the building will be torn out and started over. But you won't be torn out. You'll survive, but just barely. So what he's saying is this. Yeah, you can start climbing the mountain. You can start doing the thing that you need to do, but your work will show for itself. And if your foundation is not built on God, and this is where I'm at right now, they have really my spirit guys, my team, my ancestors, all of them have shown up and said the reason why you're not where you need to be is because you haven't consulted with us. You haven't come and put in the work. You haven't built your foundation where with us. You're just building this foundation and it's like the three little pigs. So you're building your foundation and it's not even in the will of God. It's just what you want it to be. And so you can't build a foundation outside of the will of God. The gap is a fire test, not to destroy what you've built, to show what it's actually made of. What the fire reveals, you can reinforce. What remains after the test is what is real. Okay? Whatever happens in this testing, whatever remains, that's the real thing. Because sometimes we're not using the right materials. Like they said, eventually there's going to be an inspection. If you use cheap and inferior materials, you're going to be found out. If you're going by here and you're just doing a little mini prayer, little half prayer, oh God, thank you, and you keep going, that's like, well, what are you actually building? Are you building the walls? Right? Are you coming to build authentically with this? Or are you just kind of building just because it sounds good or it looks good because someone else is doing it? Point number 2 is hunger that comfort never creates. There's a kind of hunger that can only be born in a gap. When you have been away from the practice long enough, when you stop working out, when you stop doing your business, when you stop building your relationship, when you stop the communication, when you've just put everything aside and just been doing the thing that you've done, when you stop taking care of yourself long enough, when you have felt the difference between living from the new mind and sliding back into the old one, something in you gets hungry in a way that is in the way that the comfortable, consistent season never produced. That hunger is not weakness. That hunger is fuel. The woman who knows, the woman who knows and who comes back after the gap comes back wanting it more than she did before she left. She comes back knowing what she's been missing, and that knowing, that bone deep awareness of the difference is what makes the next season of practice sustainable in a way that the first season wasn't. It's like you are so driven because you are tired of being in the same place at the same time, doing the same thing with the same people, and there's nothing ever changing. It's just like a hamster wheel. You just keep going round and round and round. And what Spirit is saying is get off the wheel and try something different. We're so used to spinning this wheel on our own to get and it's just like just to get the water out of the little, the cistern or whatever it's called. And rather than you get off and just go up to it and just, get the water, you're trying to spin this wheel to get to it. And it's like you're going nowhere. So this is what Spirit is saying. The second production is do something different. Okay. I made a vow in November of 2025 that I was never going to do the same thing on a different day, at a different time, at a different year with the same people, just doing the same thing over and over again and thinking that things were going to change. And then trying a little affirmation here, doing a little prayer here, and never being consistent in it. And things come up. Of course, the gap happens, and the gap is teaching me that I am not consistent with myself. I want to lose 10 pounds, but I'm not consistent in working out. I want to be able to get my business to 100,000 a year, but I'm not doing the things that I need to do. So it's coming back with this drive. I want to be able to go and do the things that I want to do without the hesitation of locking a card or telling my kids, well, we don't have it right now. I want to be able to do those things. And so doing that, it's now this gap has taught me, listen, you're not even consistent with yourself. How are you going to what honor are you bringing to yourself? It has nothing to do with God. It's just honoring myself in the space that I say that I want to be. I want to be able to make 100,000, and they're just like, well, you ain't doing nothing. You're doing absolutely nothing. Okay. Psalm 63 and 1 says, you, God, are my God. Earnestly I seek you. I thirst for you. My whole being longs for you in a dry and parched land where there is no water. We know right now, I don't know where you guys are at. I'm in Colorado. It's 100 degrees. Okay. It's been 100 degrees for weeks. I was at an event the other day and I thought I was going to melt because it was so hot. And there's this thirst, but it's also this heat stroke that will get you. And if you are not really prepared for what's happening, um, if you are not prepared for the weather, if you are not prepared for the things that are happening, that's why there's a scripture that says, prepare ye the way. When you prepare for the thing that you say you want, everything is lined up. It's like a recipe. You prepare the recipe, you have all the ingredients, and you know exactly what you're going to cook. Okay. Psalm 63:1 in the Message Bible says, God, you are my God. I can't get enough of you. I've worked up so much hunger and thirst for God, traveling across dry and weary deserts. This is what it is. We have done so much work over the course of our lives, traveling through these quantum leaping through our lives. And we've become dry and weary. That's why when he told the woman, if you drink of this water, you'll never thirst again. It is coming to the water and drinking the water and doing the work and saying, God, fill me up with the ideas and the knowledge and the wisdom that I need. You don't know what you had until the gap shows you what life looks like without it. That thirst is not punishment. It's a compass. It's pointing you straight back to what you need. Absolutely. Gap number three. Well, point production number three. Compassion you couldn't have preached before. This one is for every woman in the room who leads, teaches, coaches, mothers, mentors, and pours into everyone else. Before your gap, you could talk about grace. After your gap, you can give it because now you know what it feels like to fall off from something that was changing you, to go quiet on yourself, to sit in the shame of your own inconsistency, and that knowing that lived experience of gap makes you a different kind of leader, a more merciful one, a more honest one who doesn't lead from a position of having it all together, but from a position of having been in the gap and found a way back. Your gap does not disqualify you from leading. It qualifies you all the more because you are going through something that you are going to be able to teach another woman. This is what happened to me, and this is how I got out of it. Now, what works for me may not work for you, and what works for you may not work for others. But this is just the teaching to tell you, listen, yeah, I stopped and I almost gave up on myself. But because I knew that there was something in me, because I knew that I was born for this, I can't not do it. It's innately in me. It's like in my DNA. My DNA screams, we got to do this. We got to get back together. We got to do this. You know, and I'm, navigating through being honest with myself, saying, you know what, you could be so far along if you would just do the work. You would be so far along. You know what? Here's another thing. This is what just came to me. If you worked out, you wouldn't be as tired to where you want to go to sleep and take naps or just rest. Gaining the energy, taking your vitamins, doing the things that you used to do. If you would just get back up and start working out again, we wouldn't be in this situation because working out is going to build your stamina. Your stamina is going to keep you awake in the hours that you think you want to go to sleep. And it brings this balance, and that's what we're here for. We're looking for the balance. Second Corinthians 1 and 4 says, who comforts us in all our troubles? Who do you have that comforts you in all your troubles? I can honestly say that I don't really think that there's anybody out there that I can call on when there's troubles going on. And I was saying this today. I was driving to work and I was telling God, like, you're all I have. You, my spirit guides, my ancestors, my team, this is it. There's no one that I can call on when I'm going through something, when I'm crying and when I'm, down and out. I don't have a person that I can call on. It's just God himself. So who comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort in any trouble with comfort we ourselves receive from God. Okay. Who's there to comfort you? So I'm going to read, this is 1 and 4. So let's read, this is going to be 3 through 5, the rescue. All praise to God the Father of our Master Jesus, the Messiah, Father of all mercy, God of all healing counsel. He comes alongside us when we go through hard times, and before we know it, he brings us alongside someone else who is going through hard times so that we can be there for that person, just as God was there for us. We have plenty of hard times that come from following the Messiah, but no more so than the good times of his healing comfort. We get a full measure of that too. So he comes along and he gives us this refreshing blessing and this comfort, and he wraps his arms around us and tells us, yes, you can make it, you can go. And that is the thing that we give to others. Let them know that, you know what, God is there for you. Because if he can fill me up, I know he can fill you up. You cannot comfort from distance. You comfort from experience. The gap you gave, the gap gave you the experience. Now you have something to give that no highlight reel could ever produce. Production number 4, strength that only resistance creates. A muscle does not grow without resistance. A faith does not deepen without testing. A rewire does not hold without pressure. The gap, the interruption, the disruption, the season of life hitting harder than the practice was resistance. And resistance, when you come through it instead of around it, produces a strength that the easy season simply cannot. The woman, the woman who has only ever thrived in consistent, supported, inspired environment is not yet tested. The woman who fell off, went dark, felt the old mind rush back in, and then got back up and rebuilt, that woman has something in her that cannot be taught in a session. It can only be built in the gap. James 1, 2 through 4. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Now, it's going to be this It's going to be a banger out of the Message Bible. Okay. James 1, 2 through 4 reads as such. Consider it a sheer gift, friends, when tests and challenges come at you from all sides. You know that under pressure, your faith life is forced into the open and shows its true colors. So don't try to get out of anything prematurely. Let it do its work so you become mature and well developed, not deficient in any way. I love that. And I'm going to read it again. Consider it a sheer gift, friends, when tests and challenges come at you from all sides. You know that under pressure, your faith life is forced into the open and shows its true colors. So don't try to get out of anything prematurely. Let it do its work. So when you let it do its work, so you become mature and well developed, not deficient in anything. This is when life is lifing. You know, we hear that new saying, life has just been lifing. And, it's like when one brick falls, all the brick falls. And it's like when one thing happens, here's something else happen. It's like one thing after another. This is when your faith is being tested and its true colors are showing out to show just how much faith do you have. How much faith are you working with? When things are happening and you just say, you know what, God, this is it. I don't know what to do. When you're trying to make a way out of no way, when something happens and you're calling your friends and you're asking your friends for help. This is one of the things that I said. There was an issue that happened this weekend. And I arrived at an event for work. And when I got there, I was telling people, you know how when people tell you, call them, and they were like, yeah. And they both said, there's two people they said, and they don't answer. They was like, stop calling them. That is the faith. That is when God is like, I'm stripping you of the people that you are so comfortable calling when you're not able to scale the mountain, when you don't have all the right tools for the mountain, and you're trying to call somebody. It's like I just remember the show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, when they say you want to phone a friend. You can't phone a friend. God is the only friend that I have at this moment, and that's when I have to get on my knees and I said, "Say, God, listen, this I don't like this life. I don't like where I'm feeling. I don't like how I'm feeling. I don't like the things that have happened. I don't know what to do. But all I can tell you is that you are all I have, and my faith right now is in you." When we talk about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, that is the God of faith. Those three men had faith. So when we see it, it's the faith that we have to know that God is going to produce a ram in the bush. He is going to make a way out of no way. He's going to provide a king to bless you even when you lied. You're going to wrestle with the angel and he's going to still produce and give you the things that you need. This is what God is getting us to. It's when we wrestle and we're going through these things, the God of faith. He wants you to have that much faith. When we look at the faith the size of a mustard seed, just go buy some. I mean, they sell them at Costco. I've seen them. Just go buy you a mustard seed. That's the kind of faith it's so small. But when you plant that seed of faith, my God, it grows so magnanimous. It grows into this large tree that will cover you and that is so deeply rooted in the word of God or in the ground. And so you need to be deeply rooted in God. And crazy thing, that name is my daughter's name. Her name is Natar, and it means deeply rooted in Hindi. Being so deeply rooted in the word that nothing can make you change, nothing can knock you off, nothing can and sway your belief, because you know my faith is in God. Okay. Production number 5, a testimony that has weight. Here is the final thing the gap produces. It may be the most important one for this room, and that is a testimony. Not the polished kind, not the kind where everything worked out perfectly and God showed up dramatically and the crowd applauded and shouted and screamed and ran and jumped and the shouting music, the praise music came. No, this is the kind that has weight. The kind where you say, I went through the gap, I fell off. The old thoughts came back, the depression came back. I let little Pookie come back. I let Ray Ray come back, right? I went off the budget. but life hit me in ways I didn't see coming. And I'm still here. I'm still here, you guys. I came back. I'm in this room. Whether you're here or not, I'm in this room. I pressed play on the replay. I showed up in the Zoom on a Wednesday night when it would have been easier for me just to not even log on, to not even record these videos. That testimony, that unglamorous, honest, I survived my own gap testimony is the one that will reach the women nobody else can reach because she needs to see that it's possible to come back. And you, my dear sister, are the proof. Revelations 12:11. They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Your words are so powerful. And people seeing your life being lived out loud, that is the thing that they need to see because they're going to be wondering, how does she do it? I know people wonder all the time, how is she surviving? How is she making it? We try to knock her off, try to kick her off the mountain. So this is out of the Message Bible. We're going to start at verse 7, and this is going to go through 12. War broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought the dragon. The dragon and his angels fought back, but were no match for Michael. They were cleared out of heaven, not a sign of them left. The great dragon, ancient serpent, the one called devil and Satan, the one who led the whole earth astray, thrown out, and all his angels thrown out with him, thrown down to the earth. Then I heard a strong voice out of heaven saying, Salvation and power are established. Kingdom of our God, authority of his Messiah, the accuser of our brothers and sisters thrown out, who accused them day and night before God. They defeated him through the blood of the Lamb and the bold word of their witness. They weren't in love with themselves. They were willing to die for Christ. So rejoice, O heavens, and all who live there. Doom to earth and sea. For the devils come down on you both with feet. For the devils come down on you with both feet. He's had a great fall. He's wild and raging with anger. He hasn't much time and he knows it. This is where we have to understand. The accuser of our brethren, he says, they defeated him through the blood of the Lamb and through the bold word of their witness. You are a witness to everything that is happening in your life. Okay, your gap is not a chapter you skipped over in your testimony. It is a chapter that makes the rest of it believable. Don't waste it, use it. Okay, your words are so powerful. Writing them down, saying the declaration, saying them out loud, you overcome. I need you to stop looking at your gap as something that happened to you and start looking at it as something that has produced something in you. The clarity, the hunger, the compassion, the strength, the testimony, none of that exists without the gap. None of that could have been manufactured in a comfortable, uninterrupted season. The gap was not a detour from the destiny. The gap was a part of your destiny. And now that you're on the other side of it, even partially, you have something in your hands worth using. Don't waste the gap. Mine it. Every last piece of gold is yours. Name what your gap actually produced. Before we journal, let's name it together. Look at the list and identify what your gap produced. Not what it took, but what it produced. Did it produce clarity? Did it produce compassion? Did it produce a testimony? Hunger, your strength, your wisdom, knowing what triggers the gap, what guardrails you need, and what coming back actually costs and requires. In your testimony, the unglamorous, honest, weight-bearing kind that reaches the women nobody else can reach? Or was it your hunger, a bone-deep awareness of the difference between living from the new mind and sliding back and wanting it more than ever before? Was it the clarity about what I actually believed, where the roots are shallow, and what needs to be reinforced. Mining the gap for everything it produced. The inventory, looking at the production list, clarity, hunger, compassion, strength, testimony, wisdom. Which ones did my gap produce? Be specific. Okay. What does the production look like in my life, actual life right now? What is being produced? The second question is the instructions inside the interruptions. If my gap was not a mistake, but an instruction, what was it teaching me? What did I need to learn? What did I need to face? What did I need to feel that could not have been received in a comfortable, uninterrupted season? The gold I almost left behind. What did I almost dismiss about my gap? Something I experienced or discovered that I was tempted to write off as failure? That was actually a gift? Was it the gold I almost missed? Your testimony that I carry now. Because of my gap, I now have something to say to another woman that I could not have said before. What is it? Who is the specific woman who needs to hear my gap story? Not the polished version, but the real one. Now your reframe. Rewrite your gap, not as a season of failure, but as a season of production. What was being built in you while you were in it? What does the woman who went through the gap and came back have that the woman who never experienced it does not? Here's your group discussion, and you can put this in the comment section of this video. What is one thing your gap produced that surprised you? Something you didn't expect to find on the other side of the interruption? What is the gold you almost left behind? The thing you almost dismissed as failure that actually is forming something in you. And the last question is, what is the specific woman your gap testimony is for? Who is the specific woman your gap testimony? The one who needs to hear that coming back is possible because you did it. So I created this bridge belief, and this is just a bridge of place from the old you to the new you. From what the gap took to what the gap produced, tonight's bridge is the most redemptive one we've built. We are not bridging from a lie to a truth. We're bridging from a loss to a production, from what the gap cost us to what the gap created in us. So, what I thought the gap took, my momentum, my consistency, and my progress, the gap set me back. And that's how I felt. I felt like the gap set me back. I'm already 3 weeks behind and now I'm trying to catch up. Um, and I felt it took my consistency, my momentum, my progress. But I'm like, did it really? You know? So the bridge is the gap didn't take my progress, it tested it. And what survived the test is what's more solid than what I had before. What the gap produced, it produced clarity about where my foundation really is, um, where I'm built, what am I building on? The hunger that makes the practice sustainable and the testimony with the weight. Here's another thing that I thought, my credibility. How can I lead others when I fell off? How can I come back here? How can I post a TikTok? My gap didn't just disqualify me from leading. It gave me something to lead to something real to lead from. Compassion I couldn't have preached before. I now lead. I live from experience, not just knowledge. So here's your bridge belief activity. Each woman writes her own production bridge. What I thought my gap took from me, the bridge belief, and what my gap actually produced. And you can put that in the comment section. Here's your closing declaration. I will not waste my gap. I will not dismiss what it produced. I will not pretend the interruption didn't happen when the interruption was the instruction. My gap produced clarity. My gap produced hunger. My gap produced compassion. I could not have preached before. My gap produced strength that only resistance creates. My gap produced a testimony with weight. I came back, not because it was easy, not because I had it together, but because something in me knew that the gold was still there, waiting to be mined. The gap is not a detour. The gap was part of the journey, and I am walking out of it with more than I walked in with, for real. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." And I'm going to read this out of the Message Bible. Meanwhile, the moment we get tired in the waiting, God's Spirit is right alongside, helping us along. If we don't know how or what to pray, it doesn't matter. He does our praying for us. He does our praying in and for us, making prayer out of a worldless sighs, our aching groans. He knows far better. He knows far better than we know ourselves. He knows our pregnant conditions and keeps us present before God. That's why we can be sure, so sure that every detail in our lives of love of God is worked into something good. So I want to thank you guys for coming. There's going to be another workshop that we'll be having. Um, and if you guys want to get in touch with me, Venmo's there. Um, And here's an upcoming event that we're going to be doing. This is going to be the sessions. It's going to be workshop number 2. Although the date has changed, I haven't scheduled another date, but we will be doing that one. So my information is here. If you guys want to join, please let me know. And you can make your payments through Zelle. And I would love to see you guys there in this moment. I do apologize for the interruption. Again, here's the interruption, the gap. So I will see you guys next session. Thank you so much, and I love you.